remember why you started and why you keep going. Because if you don't have your whys in order, it is tough to keep going. It's tough to stand back up.
Damn straight.
You've got to be able to fall down and be willing to stand up.
If I could go back in my lifetime and say, what's a big mistake? I wish I figured this out earlier.
Ask questions, ask why.
It takes a special leader to help you grow in a certain role.
Doesn't matter how I speak, doesn't matter how I look.
And it holds true as you think big and don't let anybody stop you.
Now that's a success story. Welcome to this edition of Success Stories. I'm Steve Cross, the host, and today we have with us Mr. DJ Yokley, the CEO and founder of YSN, Your Sports Network. DJ, thanks for being on today.
Steven, anything for you, buddy.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, it's a little intimidating of interviewing somebody that does interviews for a living.
I'm not supposed to be on this side of the microphone, dude. I don't know what to do with my hands. It's kind of wild.
Well, I'm going to do the best I can. I know you're just going to talk and you're going to take it over. It's going to be great for having everybody hear your story. So what I want to do is just kind of get into it. When you think of your success story and, where you're at right now and you think back and you kind of, think back of where did this story begin? Where does your journey begin? Does that begin childhood, college, last week? Take me through that story or that arc of your career of when you try to write your story or tell your story of your success.
Yeah. So the irony of the whole thing, I guess, for me is the success has been the journey along the way. And I don't know, kind of what success is official. Like there's no trophy at the end to give or to receive. So, for me, it starts just being a kid that was raised in a double wide. And, my parents, my dad, I didn't find out till later in life that he never even graduated high school. He was a guy, got his GED,
Wow.
tried to get in the military. That didn't work out for him. Started taking pictures at a company called PCA a long time ago. So you go into like Kmart and things of that nature, and somebody'd be there to take your picture or a family portrait or whatever they used to hang on the walls.
Yeah.
That was my dad. And that's how he met my mom. And my mom's originally from Verona, New York, and, small town in upstate New York. And they hit it off. They were working together. They fell in love. And the next thing you know, they get married, and out comes DJ Yokley, who's been up against it his entire life, named after my father, because I looked so much like him, just straight out of the womb. And I was blessed to have two parents that were almost yin and yang. My dad was very creative. He was very analytical. My mom was just she busted her ass, a hard worker. And she was very like, if I can't get straight to the end of the road, I'm going to climb the wall, go through the wall, whatever I have to do to get it, because she was a determined individual. So I was very fortunate to kind of have both of those character traits built into me at a very early age. We didn't have a lot, but we always had enough. And I never knew that. And that's why they were such great parents, was because they would give up the food or, whatever off their plate in order to make sure that I was fed. My sister was fed. And we always had everything that we needed for school until my mom adjusted her life. She went from being a photographer to a registered nurse, and then life kind of changed for the Yokeleys. And it's weird because I had that instilled in me, the hard work, determination of if you work hard, you get this, or a chance of getting this. And then all of a sudden we had a little bit of money. We moved into the big city of East Palestine from Negley. And, things changed for me and, like having money and not that we were ever rich. But it was a situation where, you work hard and you earn things, and that's always been instilled in me. And I'm 5'4". Like I'm not going to win any slam dunk contests. So athletics was huge for me. Growing up, it was a way to meet friends and do stuff. My parents always encouraged me to play as many sports as I could. And I developed this really bad competitive gene, like had to win, had to be the best, had to do this. And it just hasn't gone away. So being able to have that and grow up with it, I've got guys that are, I was their size in Little League, and then all of a sudden they're 6'4" and I'm 5'4". But that wasn't going to stop me from staying on their level from a competitive standpoint in baseball or football or whatever it may be. Except for school, I didn't really care to keep up with them in school. GPA didn't really round out to the valedictorian that my parents wanted me to be. But it's one of those things, Steve, that like you just learn how to work hard, and you know you build passions about things. My dad was passionate about Star Trek and sci-fi movies and things like that. Could care less about sports. My mom was the one throwing the baseball with me in the backyard and said, "Hey, you're pretty good at this.
Really?
I think you can go." Yeah, it was wild. And when it came to picking colleges, my dad said, "Hey, you should go here and just pick a trade." And my mom was like, "Listen, I think you're really good at baseball. Try getting baseball a shot at college, and if you think you can do it, and then try this broadcasting thing." Because I'll give you a little slide on broadcasting. Is it started because I sucked in school. I was terrible. I was failing environmental science my freshman year, and the athletic director at the time in East Palestine was a guy named Rick Eisnick. And Rick Eisnick needed a freshman PA announcer. And my mom, who we got I don't even know what they call them anymore, but like the 4.5 week part, the midway point, you got your midway report. Buddy, I couldn't have done worse. I probably would have done better not showing up to the class than I was doing in environmental science. So she makes me go in and ask for extra credit. And I'm terrified because Rick Eisnick, still an intimidating human being to this day, he goes, "You know what? Let me think about it. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you." And the next day, he goes, "I'll give you extra credit if you'll be a public address announcer for the freshman boys and girls basketball team." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, all right." Like I was a ham. Again, parents were photographers, so I've always been in front of the camera growing up. That was a nice perk. All over the double wide were pictures of this little DJ Yokley kid. So I was not afraid to get in front of the microphone or get in front of the camera. So I did it. And the first time, I mean, there was maybe 7 people watching in the stands in that big gymnasium in East Palestine, the field house.
Yeah.
And they let me have the controls of it. And that was it. I started, I made the Chicago Bulls announcer. Like I did the same thing. Like we had the music, we had everything, and people were just, I remember them laughing in the stands. And I think that would have pushed away a lot of people. But there were a few parents that were like, "You're really good at this. Can you do this all the time?" And then it was one of those things, like you feel good doing it. You get a little bit of attention for doing it. I was still going to be a Major League Baseball player, but hey, you know what? All these baseball guys they're on TV after their careers are over. So I figured that was my plan B. And sure enough, you do 4 years of it and garner good, bad, and indifferent attention because I would go really hard and be excited about our teams in East Palestine, and then for Crestview or Columbiana or whoever our rival was that night, Dewey for 2. And I mean, it drove them nuts. I was the 6th man. I was part of the squad and I was feeling it. So that's kind of how that started.
That's awesome.
And then, my mom, who was in her infinite wisdom, used that as the carrot to get me to college because she goes, "You could do this in college and, go to ESPN," and, all these ideas of grandeur that kind of drove me, to do what I thought was what I wanted to do at the time. Yeah, I played baseball because you want to be a professional baseball player, but you could be on ESPN. If that's not, you have to get drafted. Then there's a lot of this, and I believe in you. And she always kept it like plan B, plan B, plan B. And then all of a sudden one day it's plan A, and you go, man, like she knew what she was doing before I ever, like I was too far down the road to go back on any other route at that point. So that was how the whole thing started. And, man, I'm just absolutely blessed to have great people in my life, and, to have every time I kind of steered off the path that I thought God maybe intended for me, you just kind of picked me up like a matchbox car and put me back on the path where I needed to be.
That's amazing. Did now after college, I know YSN, it wasn't your, you didn't jump into entrepreneurship right away. How did it, was it always in the back of your mind, like coming out of college or to start your own thing, or were you waiting patiently for the right opportunity or for the right time? Kind of take me through that then, through your career after post college.
Yeah, I think because you know me well, you know that patiently waiting is not my thing. But I will tell you that, when I was at Westminster, where I ended up going to school, I started at Ohio Northern, immediately transferred, after the first year to Westminster to be closer to home, and to really involve myself into, you know, growing. I mean, when you graduate, everybody wants to leave. You don't need your family. I
Yeah.
came back because I needed them. During that year, I found out very quickly I wasn't as independent as I thought I was. I needed my family. I needed my mom's cooking. And I really wanted to be closer to home. So I ended up going to Westminster College, which was probably the best move I've ever made from a standpoint of a business decision. You know, we have Emmy Award winning ESPN guys that have graduated from that college. We have
Yeah.
guys that are on air for the Little League World Series that I've built friendships with, guys that have, and gals, by the way, that have walked all walks of life in broadcasting and just in business. For me, it was, I'm going to go play college baseball, kind of the same route, and then I'm going to, really start focusing on broadcasting. So when I did that, kind of played out, I decided to walk away from baseball after a year and a half, dive into broadcasting and put all the hard work and the determination that I did for baseball for so many years into being a broadcaster. And I got a job before I even graduated, and I was on top of the world. I was working at Channel 33 with Bob Hannon and Bill Castrovince. Right off of my internship, they hired me because of the work ethic and the relationships that I built there. And at that point, the kind of conversation was, hey, we're doing something in this particular region with Channel 33 and Channel 27 that is like the first of its kind. We're going to merge the ABC affiliate and the CBS affiliate, and we're going to build this superstation essentially. And, we're not promising that you're going to have a job, but we like what you do and it's up to them. So we want you to be a part of it, at least get your feet wet. And I was the first one in to 33 and last one in, first one out to 33, because shortly after the holidays, that year, I got my first ever pink slip, and it was like, thanks, we appreciate you being part of this, but we no longer need your services. From there, it was, okay, this gives me an opportunity to work on my craft a little bit, which I'm going to do, but I have to do it on my own. Like, you're not in college anymore. After you graduate, you got to get things rolling. I wanted to be a sports reporter. I wanted to be a sports anchor. I wanted to be everything that Bob Hannon was, that Bill Castrovince, who, really took me under their wing. I wanted to do that. And I just remember 7 different interviews, 7. And every time it was, I'd get to the next interview and it was, yeah, we really like you, but you're not the kind of guy that we necessarily think should be in the living room for our audience, but we'd love to hang out with you at a sports bar and talk sports. And I just remember, every single time just feeling like arrow to the heart. I wish they would have told me that 4 years ago before I spent $90,000 on an education of this is what I think I'm going to do. So, man, it was a humbling experience. And it was a point where that was a low point for me. It was a low point. It was, okay, I don't know what to do. And like my career was in a downfall because after that they brought me in. We want you to be a VJ. So I was one of the first VJs in the entire Mahoning Valley. And there was promises of, hey, we're going to put you on camera. Never happened. I just did a bunch of editing and a bunch of reports. Actually won. I'm not bragging, but alongside Peggy Sinkovich, her regular photographer was Nick Rich, and he incredible man, incredible mentor. He got sick one day or was on a different assignment. Peggy asked if I could come in and fill in. We actually, on that one day, ended up winning a journalism award for our work, months later. one that I was very proud of. And I'm thinking, okay, they let me come in and pinch hit, and I just hit a grand slam and win the game, right? They've got to let me in. Nope. Let me go
Yeah.
from the
Doors are
VJ
open.
position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, slam shut right in my face. Let me go from the VJ position. I went back. I started dispatching for 911 in East Palestine just to keep my communication degree working, because that was my biggest thing. Is I just wasted all this money for my parents, for myself, wasted all this time, the resources. They call me, and a lot of stuff happened. My dad passes away in that time that I was doing the 911 dispatching. That was the moment of change for me. That was the moment that everything became real. I was 9 months away from getting married. My dad passes away instantly in the middle of the night. I come down. My mom's giving him CPR. Again, she's a registered nurse. I didn't know what was going on. It just felt like a dream. Still feels like a dream. And you get to that point and you go through the whole circumstance and, of loss and grief and all that stuff. And you realize at 23 years old, that life is not something that is promised to you any day. And from that point, it was, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to leave an impact on this world, because I don't know. I've seen in flesh that it can change in a blink of an eye. So in doing that, things got real. You get married and now you're accountable to somebody else. Marriage is always different. When somebody else is counting on you, and now as a dad, I understand that even deeper. But at that point, It was, okay, I've got to make something happen. And, I kept going backwards, Steve. I mean, and I say backwards from a standpoint of, what you'd want your career to look like. I started out as a editor and looking to do a sports reporter, and then it was down to a VJ, and then it was down to a production assistant, and there was a moment in there I wasn't even working in the industry. So they hired me as a production assistant, and as a production assistant, you're the guy that kind of moves the camera, makes sure the box is on the shoulder of an anchor, and I had a real bad attitude, a really bad attitude, because I felt like I was getting passed over because of whatever, because of my look, and it really was, the opportunity wasn't there, and sometimes and minor leaguers go through this where you might be a really good shortstop, but if your big league shortstop is an all-star, there's not a place for you. And that was kind of what was happening to me. And I was too young to realize
it's a situation.
Yeah. And I was too young to realize and understand it fully, because again, the competitive nature comes out. Well, I'm better than this guy. I could do better than that. And again, I'm passed over 7 times, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, I have a family now. I'm not making a whole lot of money in this industry. I've got to make a change. And at this point, as a production assistant, they're teaching me, I know how to edit. I know how to shoot, obviously. I know how to do the reporting side of things. I know how to be a talent. They're teaching me how to do graphics. They're teaching me back ends of websites. Everything you need in that industry, I can now do. And I didn't know it. And they're seriously just giving me blueprints to build my own. At the time, I thought it was my own channel. And I'm sitting there, and I told my wife, I said, you know what? If we ever hit it big, I'm just going to buy my own TV station. It's going to be all sports, 24/7. It's all we're going to do. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Just make sure that the check cashes, that it clears. So I left.
Right. We got bills.
I left, and she believes in every dream that I have, which is crazy. Because I have some weird dreams and crazy dreams, that I pitched to her. So God bless her. But, I remember coming to her and saying, hey, this one's for us. I'm going to leave the station, leave my dreams behind of being a sports reporter, sports anchor. And we're going to go to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh and basically become a recruiter for kids that go there, from all over the country. That lasted about 9 months, but I learned valuable lessons of, it's a good paying job, and they can still beat you up. You know what I mean? Money doesn't mean everything. From there, I got a job in sales, and marketing with a company in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania, working in the military sector of advertising and marketing. To which I worked with a player, crazy enough, a player from yesteryear of Crestview in Bree Phyllis, and one of the all-time like record holders in basketball for Crestview. We worked together and were able to build a brand called Military Spouse from lower levels to national exposure. Before I eventually, my boss moved on. Life changed a little bit, from that standpoint, and you know, we started looking elsewhere. And Steve, I remember the moment that I told Sarah, my wife, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. And she was kind of looking at other things, and she said that she wanted me to follow my dream. And I'd been watching Netflix, which had been around for a few years, but still was kind of janky on the website side. And they didn't have like A-list movies. And I remember thinking to myself, if we could take this idea of Netflix and make it sports relevant at the high school level, this would be gangbusters. Because when I was at the news station, they tried something like that, and I had input on it in conversations, but they just kind of let it get away from them because they corporatized everything. And I felt like they let it get away too quickly. And especially with some of the ideas I had was, hey, channel. I mean, you can create as many channels as you want on these websites. Let's ride this again. And they never bid on that idea that I had. And I said, I think this is going to work. I think I want to try this and create my own channel, my own station, from a website perspective. And I don't know what it looks like. And I know that it's going to be duct tape and chicken wire, but she goes, before I could even get the sentence out, she's like, do it. Because at the time we were having some issues and trying to start a family. And she goes, you're only going to get one shot. And once we have a family, you're probably not going to be able to do this. So give it a shot. So we did. And we learned very quickly.
Risk aversion once you have more people relying on you.
Yeah. And we learned very quickly that, we were very nimble. We were a speedboat against a bunch of, cruise ships, essentially. I used every talent that I learned on the way up. And that has been, I weaponized it. And it's been a real ace in the hole for us over the last 9 years. So that's kind of how it built up, and it's become what it is today, which is a little website that gets a lot of traffic and makes people smile. So it makes me happy.
What's that? It's those blessings that you get that you didn't know you need, right? You didn't know you needed all those other skills. Had you been on that just linear trajectory of a career, right? You would have gone deep in one specialty, right? You would have been an anchor and that would have been it. But now when you had to get wider and you had to, expand your skill set to make yourself more valuable, you made yourself more valuable to your own future by that widening, right?
Exactly. And I think it boils down to, for me, I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And I could tell you with 100% certainty that had I had one of those jobs, I would have quit out of spite, because I know what people want. I know what sports is. Sports is a bigger business than it's ever been here in 2025. But I can tell you that sports is still one of the most emotionally investing things that you can do. And sports is supposed to be fun. You get 2.5 minutes at the end of a newscast. It's hard to make someone laugh or feel better about their day. But sports is supposed to be that feel better about the newscast at the end, because it's doom and gloom for 27 minutes. And then sports has 2 minutes to make you smile or make you feel good about something. And they're going to do things their own way. I know with the way that we do things, the way that I do things, and specifically for YSN, we had to do it a certain way. And it had to be more than a highlight, more than 30-second soundbite. You have to show these coaches, these communities, these student athletes are role models for younger kids. I mean, you've got young kids too. You got the older kids too. And I mean, and you're blessed enough to see it in your own household. I get to see it from a viewfinder for 13.5 million people that come to our website. And, you know, they're talking about little Johnny at United Local High School, or Susie at, you know, at Salem, or Austintown Fitch, and all the breaking things. And sports is supposed to be fun. We shouldn't be talking about negative things in the world of sports, because it's all around us. And I wanted to keep that as one of our core pillars of, man, sports is so great if you let it be, and you just keep the politics and the news and the garbage out of it, and you keep it clean and pure. It's one of the last things that we have in this entire world that we can look at for true entertainment.
Yeah, it should be that escape, right? From real life, from our daily grind, from our real life. It should be that place where we can go and just enjoy the competition, enjoy the art of sport, whatever sport that is, and you know, camaraderie, family, friends, and to do that. And I think that to me is one of the greatest things that I feel like YSN brings to the table, is just that delivery of that.
I agree with you, and I appreciate that, because that's one of the things that we value the most as well. And we want you to know that you're safe. You know, your kids are safe. You're not going to get some of the criticism and negative attention and the shouting that you see on regular TV and these corporations nowadays. We want to celebrate kids and again, student athletes and communities and coaches, because it is such a cynical world. And, you know, most of these guys are not getting paid or paid well enough to do what they do. These are a lot of these volunteers and a lot of these people that are just trying to enhance the game. So I'm a huge fan of everybody across the, you know, from our advertisers to the districts that we represent, to be a voice in their community, to be one of the soundtracks of their childhood. Now, you know, we've been doing this long enough that we're on our third generation of high schoolers. And a lot of people, like, if I'm just talking at a restaurant, I know that voice. How do I know that voice? Oh, that's DJ. And I mean, it's to the point where it drives my wife wild. Like, cannot stand it. That, you know, it's not even looking at me; it's hearing my voice, the same voice and the same face that nobody wanted to deal with for so long. And now it's, you know, by by hook or by crook, I'm the face of the valley in sports.
Yeah, yeah. Take me through the early stages of YSN when you were. Take me through some of the, you know, the idea in that dream. It's amazing that you had the support, right, from family, from your wife. That's it's one of the common themes that almost every entrepreneur success story has, is there was this one person that believed in me almost more than I believed in myself, right? So there's that common theme. But kind of talk me through what you weren't ready for. What didn't you like? Oh man, I didn't even think about this, and some of those obstacles or those hurdles that you had to get over to, and whether you looked back on your career or you looked forward to mentors on how to get overcome those obstacles, and you know, and keep progressing, you know, when times are tough, because every entrepreneur, they're full of shit if they don't tell you they have some bad days. And some times where they're questioning themselves. So take me through that adversity, those situations.
Yeah. So I want to start this off and say I love now being an entrepreneur, not just because it's a buzzword, but because it is very much like sports. Being in business is a lot like being in sports, and you got to constantly work and hone on your craft. And there's, you know, something as you continue to advance, you gain skills, but you lose skills at the same time. And you're trying to make sure everything kind of recalibrates so you meet in the middle and you have a distinct advantage. Our biggest weapon and our biggest downfall was that there was no how-to book on how to do what we did. And what I mean by that was, and I'll explain why it was successful at first, is because nobody was doing what we were doing. Everybody, I mean, I'm talking in the country. Nobody started essentially a podcast that turned into a broadcast, which turned into a network of schools, and you're just filling the boat one by one by one. As far as advertisers, as far as getting out and doing broadcasts, as far as interviewing coaches and then the kids, nobody was doing this except for the big one up in Bristol. And what I did was I said, okay, we're just going to take everything that they do and we're going to bring it down a couple notches to the high school level, and then eventually to the somewhat elementary level of doing youth sports, just incorporating youth sports, because we needed something to do. I was slinging mattresses, and I was selling things, just to make ends meet, because the first 3 years of YSN, we didn't pay ourselves. It was every dime that we made, every check that was cashed went right back into the business. And I had to figure out a way to put food on the table for my wife and for the kids and my family. And, it was a challenge, because nobody was doing what we were. I mean, you look at success stories, no pun intended, of the people that are in your own circles, and you're like, okay, well, they're doing this, but they have a boss. They're doing this, but they have nobody that I was around, because I never wanted to do it, had my own company, had their own company, or not just had their own company, but had their own, like, entrepreneurial, like, this is what we're going to do, and nobody else is doing it. Everybody else was, okay, well, I run a car business. I run, I'm an engineer. I'm this, I'm that. I'm a firefighter. I didn't have that. I was, this is who it is. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to fake it till I make it. So every day I'd roll out of bed, and the first thing I would do is look at my phone to the statistics on our website. Are we still in business? Do we still have money in the bank? If not, there's times where you're just like, your significant other doesn't see it, and you just slide a couple dollars into the bank from one side of the account to the other, and you go, we're still in business. We're still rolling. The website's still up. And then you go a couple of years, and I know this one is a story that you know very well, is you get the attention that you've mounted up, and all those dreams and wishes and ambitions that you wanted to have, a big website with a lot of people watching it. COVID strikes, and we're the only ones allowed in these facilities, these press boxes, and we crashed the servers because people wanted our product so much, and we were the only place to get it. And you take heat from that, from being successful, and it's like, from people you wouldn't expect, right? From people you think would be rooting for you, become very critical, and then cast stones as if, like, they didn't watch the whole thing grow before their very eyes. And it was a challenge for me in learning that your circle that you've loved and cherished and admired for so long just gets smaller, because everybody wants to see you be successful. That's not the problem. They just don't want you to see you be as successful or more successful than they are. That was the issue. And I always use the terminology that a lot of these places, they would much rather burn your house down than build their house larger. And that was a problem for me. And internally, I was battling that myself, because, sure, I want to be better than you. And if you screw up, I'm going to build up. But I was seeing it happening to me, of people that I've loved, that I've appreciated for so long. And it was almost a new lease on life at that point, because it was like, okay, now I know. Now I get who really wants me to win, because their kids, their nephews, their nieces, whoever, their communities are going to win if they jump on my back. And you meet people along the way. And I'm telling you, not because it's your show, there were very few messages that I've kept in my possession, screenshot, all that stuff. So if I'd have a bad day, I know some of the people, when I was not that I'm an anybody now, but when I was nobody, when they didn't have to, they reached out. And yours specifically, you didn't know me from Adam, and you reached out and said, hey, I really like what you do. I think it's cool. Would love to have a chat with you at some point. Steve. That's where this started. That's when it was, okay, the ball's rolling. And it was after a Columbiana baseball game at Firestone Park. I remember talking to you for 10 minutes and just intrigued and appreciative about not knowing what you necessarily did, but knowing that you took time out of your busy day to say something to a fellow entrepreneur who needed it. needed that motivation at that particular moment. Another guy, Ed Kiernan, I know who you talked to before as well, and a dear friend of mine, an East Palestine guy. Man, he called me at 7 o'clock in the morning after, I'm not going to bed until 4 or 5 a.m. And he just started talking my ear off like we had been old friends. And the only connection was that we graduated from the same high school years apart. Ed is one of the best friends that I have in this world right now, and will take the shirt off his back, and he showed up with, in moments, with an envelope of money and said, "Hey, go treat yourself, treat your family to dinner." I mean, and I open up the envelope and it's just $100 bills. And that's not why he's my friend, but he gets it. He understood it. And he just said, pay it forward. And I hope to think that I have, or I will continue to pay it forward to other entrepreneurs. But to answer your question, long, winding road to get there is, we were blessed because we didn't have that script to stick by. There was no, IKEA, this is how you build a table. It was figure it out. And if you mess up, just keep on trying.
Yeah, it's what's that expression? Build a parachute on the way down, or something like that. Just figure it out on the way. Yeah.
Build a plane while it's in the air, right?
But yeah. But you bring up a few more points. It's nice to have those events, or have that clarity to understand who's on your team and who's on your side, because a lot of people may do it publicly, or may do it, superficially, but when it comes down to it, who can you count on, right? And that's when you talked about, that's when the circle gets smaller. That's when you know who you can trust, who you can lean on, who you can ask questions and not be worried about the reaction of the question, right? Because you don't know, entrepreneur journey, you don't know if it's a dumb question and you should already know it, or if you're asking a high level question that maybe your mentor doesn't even know and hasn't experienced yet, right?
Yeah, to me, it's funny because we all walk a different path, in the entrepreneurial world and in success in general. We all walk a different path, but we all want to get to the same destination. And that is, we all want to live out a dream that we either had as a kid, or we've grown to appreciate or build on the way to where we are today. And my dream looks a lot different than it did when I was, a little kid in front of a camera, waiting for my parents to take my picture. It looks a lot different than, when I was 14 years old and I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. And I'm sitting here at 4 years old. It'll probably look a lot different at 45 and 50 because I'm a dad now. And, the passion changes, but, I guess the passion stays the same, but it's the success story changes, and the reasons why, the focus changes of why you want to be successful and why you want to be, why you're so passionate about things. And, now it's, I want this not just for my kids, but I want them to see, hey, daddy did this because he wanted your life to be better. I don't want my kids necessarily to do sports because I like it. I want them to take character traits of why we built this family business in YSN. No matter what they end up doing, this is how you did it. This is the steps that you took. Because I think no matter what the win looks like, there are elements in that journey that are all the same. And it's hard work, determination, perseverance, and consistency that continue to be that recipe for baking that cake that you put those candles on every year. And consider yourself successful. So I just want my kids to see that. I having those emotional moments as an entrepreneur where, like I said, you don't know if you're still in business from day to day or morning to morning. Seeing your significant other being able to appreciate those tough times, not wanting to go back, but appreciating them and seeing the staircase as you're building it is one of the most incredible and exhilarating things that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it's the journey that you have to go through, right? You have to have those failures. You have to have that adversity. It's what makes the destination, or the second half of the journey, so much more memorable and fulfilling to me.
Yeah, it's nice.
And the way you put it, like I agree completely when you talk about the motivation side of it, because some days your motivation is just you want to kick the competition's ass, and that's it. right? It's that competitive spirit. Other days it's for your wife. It's like, I want her to be proud of me. I want to make her know that she made the right decision by backing me. And then the family, it's like, I just want my kids to be proud of me when they grow up and be like, yeah, my dad did that. Right. So it's every day can be different for the different reasons, but we're always moving forward. We're always going forward. And we're getting better every day.
Yeah, the motivation changes. I was still am a chip on the shoulder guy. Like, tell me I can't do something well, and I will shove it up your ass.
Not you.
But it's
Not you.
but it's now it's, you know, like having Z and Bella. It's you want to show them a different way to do things. Like, that's my way. That's Dad's way. Now, even though they're, you know, adopted and they've got a different path to get to us than, you know, we thought our story was going to be written, we are blessed to have them. And dude, you could not tell them that they are not true Yokleys, because they have the same passion, especially Bella. She's a true paisana when it comes to that fuse being lit, and she's going to get her way. We have seen it time and time again. She is now a master of negotiations, which I am incredibly proud of, with my wife. It was, I mean, it's incredible to watch kids grow up and see little pieces of you. And I'm sure that that's the same way that my parents looked at me, and of course your story as well. I mean, it's wonderful. It's awesome. It's the best thing. And it's the best job I have, that I never thought I wanted.
Well, what's next for YSN? What's the future hold for you guys? What do you see on the horizon, technology wise, expansion, geo? What do you think's on the horizon without giving away any secrets?
Yeah, I mean, I could give you away a secret, from a standpoint of, like, I have this really bad habit of, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then 5 years later, it comes to fruition, because that's just, I'm not a patient person. I mean, we just this week launched YSN 24/7, which the Business Journal reached out during COVID and asked me, same question, what's next for YSN? And I said, oh, we're doing this YSN 24/7, where it's you know, we take over 10,000 of our games, we put them on a server, and we go round the clock on our YouTube. So there's games that you're going to see from 9 years ago. There's games that you're going to see from 2 days ago, that are going to run just randomly. And we'll get it figured out. There's a couple elements but I want to grow it up first, and make those mistakes. I'm really proud of that. I'm really disappointed that it took me 5 years to do it, but, you know, we were building a plane, and we were getting, you know, we had to make sure that we were able to grow properly and, you know, nourish the body, so to speak, before we moved on to another appendage of what YSN has turned out to be. So we're excited about that. We are just geeked to put the finishing touches on YSN Prospect. And, you know, I think that's going to be a game changer for what we do, and how we serve. And we are a service leadership, from what a service leadership service, I guess, at YSN, because we want to make sure that we put everybody else out in front. We just want to be the cameras that are capturing the moments that last forever. The recruiting service is the best way to talk about it. Is going to give our local, regional, and statewide kids the ability to be seen like never before, and to be calculated, and to be cerebral about their, not just where they're going to go to college, but how they're going to get there and who they're going to be in front of. So we're just, something that I've been passionate and really excited about for a long time is YSN Prospect, and we're going to be delivering on that very soon. In the growth.
Awesome.
Growth is something that's very
exciting.
challenging to every entrepreneur, right? Growth it's scary, because the more you grow, the more people that you put in your purview, the more people you're accountable for. And, you know, you talk about people like that are want to do this. I have a place in my heart for people who have a heart for what we're doing at YSN, because I was that guy. I mean, I told you the story. I want those people to succeed. I want those people to succeed more than I want myself to succeed. I want to show them that there is an avenue, and I want their creativity. I want their skill set. I want their heart, from a standpoint of being able to create something special for somebody else. In this industry, it's very egotistical. It's very me, 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 me. I did this. I said this. I did X, Y, and Z. The best announcers, the best broadcasters and sportscasters, and the best teammates are the ones that put you first. The ones that say, hey, I did this. I don't worry about anything. Pay me what you want. If you don't want to pay, that's fine. I did this because I wanted the team to get better. Sports taught me that at a very, very early age. I didn't want to catch. My team needed a catcher. I stepped in. Best decision I've ever made. I want to surround myself with people who have that same mentality. And that's our mission now at YSN is, okay, we're not just going to take every beating heart that wants to be on a microphone. We're going to take people that want to be part of a team that make the company better because they know that when the company's better, that the output's going to be better for everybody involved. So we are taking steps in bringing in incredible talent this year that I'm so proud of, that have, history of winning awards, history of being good people and their hearts in the right place because they want the team to win and they want everybody to be better for them being part of having their hand in the pile. So that's next for YSN. I know it's very broad in spectrum, but
That's awesome.
we're just looking to continue to kick ass every day and understand that, we're very blessed to be where we are from a standpoint of living where we live, doing what we do and being who we are. And for the last 9 years, being able to give back everything and hopefully tenfold, of what we're given, moving forward.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. What any words of wisdom or parting thoughts that you can give to the audience, or maybe somebody following in the broadcasting industry, or going into that, or even just entrepreneurship and making that leap of going out on your own? What are some things that have always stuck with you, or some people that gave to you or imparted you wisdom with, or what have you developed on your own that you think people get some value from?
Fail forward is the biggest one that I can tell people. It's take chances. There's all these shirts about eat the cake, wear the ears, buy the shirt, all that stuff. Just do it. Doing it and failing is better than not doing it at all. And sometimes you're just going to put it out there, and it's going to be half baked, and you're going to get criticized. You were going to get criticized if it was fully baked, and you prepared for it, and you can analyze it every single way. And very much building a business is like understanding baseball from a perspective of you can chop up a million different stats and look at them in a million different ways, and they can feel good, they can feel bad compared to everybody else's. But you got to walk your path. You have to be able to be true to yourself. Very much in life, people's businesses are a reflection of the founder, the CEO, the people that are at the top, forward facing. If people don't like you, for the most part, they're probably not going to like your business, and vice versa. So understand that if you're a service, business, you've got to love to serve. And if you're, whatever you do, you got to love doing it. I know it's easy to say and harder to do, but like, there are days that
Yeah.
I love sports more than anything, and there's days that I won't watch sports for 3 days because I need to get away. And what sports was my release for so many years. Now I'll turn on the news and listen to all those terrible stories happening to terrible people just because it makes me feel better about myself that I'm not that terrible person. But I'm still understanding that I love what I do and appreciate who I do it for. And, the biggest thing, Steve, you and I talk all the time, is you have to understand why you started and remember why you started, because that's the most important thing, and why you keep going. Because if you don't have your whys in order, it is tough to keep going. It's tough to stand back up.
Damn straight.
You've got to be able to fall down and be willing to stand up. And sometimes mentally, you're not even willing to stand up. You just get that muscle memory where you're just right back up. It's a challenge out there, and life is not meant to be easy. And as you get bigger as a business, it doesn't get easier. it doesn't. And I don't, there was a point in my time that I wish it did. I'm glad it doesn't, because it keeps you bulking up, keeps you, okay, I went through this. This looks very similar. Let's try this. You know, it's very much like a puzzle that you're continuing to put the
Yeah.
pieces on. So it's crazy, man. It's a wild ride, and
That's good stuff.
I'm grateful. So thank you.
It's good stuff, DJ. Good stuff. Hey, anybody not familiar with Northeastern Ohio or the area here, where can they follow along YSN, see what you guys are up to, grab your content? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ysnlive.com. You know, it's a one-stop shop for everything. We're on socials all across, you know, everything essentially, like everybody else. But, you know, the one thing I could tell you is no matter who you are, you're going to find something of interest on YSN, you know, and especially if you're in our area, in our region, you're going to see some names that you'll see on a big stage someday. And you're going to see some names that you won't, but you'll remember some of their moments because they're really cool. So I appreciate every click we get, and certainly I appreciate the people that put us in the position to do it. So thank you, Steve, for the time today.
Thank you. Appreciate you being on, DJ. Your passion just pours over in your story. You can feel it, you can hear it. And I think that's just knowing your why and always staying committed to that, of what you're delivering to the area, to the community, for the families, for the kids. It's amazing. Keep it up. You know, I'm a big fan, but even bigger fan of you and your success story. So I appreciate you. Stay dedicated, and thanks for being on today. Everybody, stick around, more content to come. Subscribe and follow DJ everywhere in YSN. Great stuff, good stories.